No?
Well, my overall or whatever is 228. I have a friend that's like over 300.
Oh, I might have exposed it.
I
Whatever.
have a friend who we competed viciously at this for a good while.
You would think that since I play legit every single PC game on controller, I'd be a lot better with the controller, but no, I'm really bad.
Oh, I don't think I could do this on controller. I'm mouse and keyboard right now.
I'm on controller right now.
Agreed. Although, Oliver plays everything with controller. He reformatted Minecraft Java just to play controller.
Hello.
He like reprograms games to make him play controller. Yes.
Yes.
So, do we want... We don't want to do a prison yet. Do we want to do a roadhouse, a street, or do we want to skip to farmhouse?
What if I do want to do a prison?
Do we want to do a
Then
prison?
what? You have me no say in this matter. Why not?
My vote's no.
Look at my level and look at yours.
I'm pretty cool. I think I could take it, no problem.
You can, but look at mine.
You're a little baby.
I'm just here to help.
I'm just here to give you guys items, and that's it.
Bro, what do you want to play?
Yeah, you choose. Adam.
I like a warm-up. We do like a roadhouse one. Those are usually pretty fun to me, anyway.
Sick.
I haven't played in so long.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we shouldn't start with a fucking prison.
But it'd be funny.
It has been. Everyone ready
Yeah,
up.
just adding way more items than we actually need. Hold on.
No, it's fine.
Good, as you should.
That means that when you die, they're all gone. It's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Just-
there's no risk. There's no point.
Just don't die.
Exactly.
Gotta bet it all to win it all.
Just don't die, easy.
Like Tal says,
Sarah's
just don't die.
streaming?
Yeah.
Hog?
Maybe.
Smile? Sarah's streaming? I need to
My
renew my
room's
sub,
ready.
actually.
Oh, why now? Why now?
Oh, well, it's changed now. Oh no, an ad! Oh no!
Wait, what? What do you mean changed? What? Nothing should have changed. Oh, except I did activate ads. I'm sorry. Look, ads aren't that bad. I'm here to teach the public that you could distract yourself for about 30 seconds. I'm not gonna go wild on them. Just 30 seconds, man. Unless it's a 2-minute ad, then I apologize. And oopie doopie, So I have ramen. I have fancy ramen. I got all my stuff in it. I added spring onions. I cut an egg, a hard-boiled egg. I added spinach. I added a couple of cheese curds just to top it off. God, I love having ramen.
Hello.
Hello?
Ollie did.
Yeah, we're always waiting for Ollie.
I just remembered I have my fidget spinner at my desk. I'm super stoked right now.
Oh my god.
What color is it?
It's the one that Mom sent me. It's the one that Mom sent me forever ago. It's like a brass pirate one.
Hey, Ollie's alive.
Oh, I was so jealous of that one. That's such a good one.
So good. Such a good fidget spinner.
Why do we have five camera stands? Why are there 6 cameras?
What's
Sorry.
up?
Adam.
We ain't playing games. We're here to win.
Adam.
I said I was sorry.
I got motion sensors. We got everything up in here.
Oliver
All these
doesn't.
sanity pills.
Oh, we're not in your face. We're looking at all the goodies
No,
here.
Face.
Sarah, you sound so high pitched.
Me? What?
Can't
Why?
believe they haven't fixed that yet. Yeah, you sounded so high pitched.
Oh,
Good
that's
job.
great.
Hi, Ollie. How are you?
Doing great.
Key.
Yes.
Q. Oh, Q is that.
Oh, I don't like looking at your eyeballs. Oh no.
Did you just say kiss towel?
Kiss. Smoochies.
Smile.
Alright, how we approach this.
Kiss the homies, you know?
Not easy. Let's go.
Let's
Wait,
just
you
drive
guys-
out here, let's go.
You guys need information.
No,
We need.
No information required. We do not need information.
Okay, fine. The ghost is definitely not named Mark Garcia and definitely doesn't like everybody.
What if the ghost name was Beetlejuice and you had to say his name 3 times?
I would love that. That'd be such a good Easter egg. Like, to have as just, like, a super rare encounter.
It's just Beetlejuice and you just die because you could never
You walk outside and the snake, like, jumps at you.
comes out and he goes, it's showtime.
Okay,
yeah,
detect motion sensor.
I got the 10th of the book. Tell! I'm so proud of you. Don't forget your headset, Sarah.
Oh,
Don't
thanks.
forget your GoPro.
Thanks. Gotta get that GoPro. Fuck the GoPro. That's how we keep tabs on each other.
Here, I tell him, wait, what's her name again?
Mark Garcia. Mark Garcia. Mark Garcia. I mean, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, Mark.
Mark Garcia, Mark Garcia, Mark Garcia, Mark Garcia, Mark Garcia. That name's a fucking tongue twister.
I forgot.
Keep hitting the audio.
I'm
I'm probably.
C. Ah, there we go. Pick it up. Pick it
You're
up. Pick it
to
up.
my
Pick it
right
up. Pick it up.
right now.
There we go. G?
Are you
Is it
downstairs?
G? Hey, hey, I have a question. I have a no. I have a question. 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 I was pressing the wrong button. How do I use items again? I know how to throw it. How do I use it?
What are you playing on?
Oh, I need someone else. I need someone else. I'm playing on the keyboard. Or just flush the toilet.
I always flush the toilet just to be polite.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The game just completely
Where
fucking
is
shut
power,
off. I
though?
am
Once
so
the
sad.
lights back on, then-
Hey, Adam, how do you use items again? I forgot
so
the
sad.
I forgot the
can't play my
keybinds.
Dang video game.
I think it's right click
Let me
to
try
turn
it.
items on and off like the EMF for you.
Joe, my brother is so polite. You would never even know. It's not that. Is it F? It's F. I was lied to. It's F. It's F. F is the button.
Oh wait, I was opening the door the wrong way.
Oh, I love my dumb friends.
Hi, I may or may not be dumb.
Hey, Joe, since you're in chat, will you let me know how the audio is? Because on my end it sounds kind of loud. So I want to make sure it's good on your end.
He said it in Discord. He thought Dead his game shut out for us.
Okay, I thought you actually meant the ghost killed him. I was like, when?
No.
It's a good loud. So can you hear me decently over it though? Okay, cool.
So hi, Ollie. How are you?
I'm very sad I can't hear you guys.
I'm about to check where.
I don't know why I disconnected.
Wi-Fi bad.
Well, it's not even my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi's being perfectly fine right now.
I was down there and see it. I'll go back and check it out.
Do me a favor, do a little
That's
dance
not
to figure out which one you are.
Oh, hi, Dwight.
Are you in the stair?
I'm upstairs in the stairway.
Okay, go back downstairs.
Okay, so I want to place one more of these. Are those all motion sensors? I'm not doing this.
Going to the basement because you're blind.
I want
You're right. Otherwise,
temperature.
Hey,
Actually, you know what? You know what? Better idea. Instead of doing motion sensors all over the house, I'm gonna...
Oh.
We're gonna do this.
Congrats. Like,
We're gonna do this way.
so, let's say we blitz through this one just so we can have Ollie back.
What do you mean blitz through? Like quit or just like try and hurry?
No, it's just her.
Okay.
Where are you?
I'm gonna be setting up cameras because you guys have fucking 6 of them, so I'm gonna deck the house out.
I got activity in the dining room. I got 3 on the EMFs over here in the dining room area.
Never mind, here I come.
Are you here? What do you want? Where are you?
I'm gonna go get another motion sensor.
Gee, there we go. Oh, I didn't turn it on.
What do you want?
Is it F?
How old are you?
Oh, there we go.
What's your favorite banana bread?
There's only a couple types of banana bread now.
Activity's only at 2.
I should switch over to open mic. Oh, wait. Can you turn the lights out for me? No? Okay. No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not seeing shit so far. There we go.
Spirit box confirmed.
Oh, so it is in the... At least it is in the... He wants what?
Nope, gone. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
What does he want again?
He was fine.
And me?
Thought that is the spirit box, so we'll take that.
Well, he was there. He was there because the thing went to 3. How's the floor, friend?
I can't pick up my
The
fucking
EMF was up to like 3 or 4 for a second.
Yeah, it was.
I think pick up its E.
Yeah, E.
Yep.
Spirit box. I think we could say level 5, but we haven't confirmed it, so I don't really want to yet.
Hello.
Hello.
I'll go with it.
Try to find ghosts. How about you?
Wow, really?
I'm gonna go in with temperatures. I think you should come back in here with Spirit Box.
We got spirit box.
I know, but to like rile him up.
No.
You got footprints.
Oh, we did get a footprint?
Yeah, in all 3 of the salts. We got the feet picks.
One out. I think 1 light went.
I love that he just like glanced
We have,
over.
black light.
We should. That's those small ones.
I haven't checked for black light yet.
I'll go for black light.
Okay, so what do we need? Hey, Adam, you should take a sanity pill. You're at 30%.
Get this ghost. And the way this is going, we probably need it.
Okay, that's fair.
Sacrificial lamb.
That's fair. How big were the feet? Did they have shoes on? No, they were bare. There were toes. Toes were involved, Cebu.
We got UV on there. Any fingerprints?
I don't see anything right yet.
Any toes?
No, it's okay, we got a 4. We got a 4.
Forgot what I needed. We don't need that. We got spirit box. I don't think it's freezing temps. Ask him to write in the book. There's a book on the table.
He did write in the book. It's up.
Oh, he did. Okay, cool.
Alright, we got 2, so... Got 2.
It's a spirit, a demon, or an oni. Hey, Fox Queen. What's up? I'm not seeing any ghost orbs. Oh, is he hunting? He's hunting. Oh, boy. Oh, that man is ugly.
Yup, goodbye.
Did he get you?
There. Bad,
Bad news?
bad news. Your buddy's dead.
Oh, no! Get a picture of the body.
Get on, you sport.
Do you want to just try to call it and head out? What are our options?
Let's see. It's either a spirit, a demon.
Because
Spirit,
I
demon.
don't see any EMF 5. No orbs.
I think out of the 3, probably most likely Oni, because we almost got
There
5.
was never... Here's the thing, though. It never hit 5. So because while it was hunting, it didn't hit 5, I'm actually going to say it probably wasn't.
Okay. He was like on the EMF. I saw it on the camera, so like if it didn't hit 5 when he was on it, then
Could be we just didn't find the fingerprints. It could be a spirit. We did get that ghost writing. Did we? Oh, we never checked for freezing temps.
I
It
did.
could be a demon. You did nothing.
nothing. I mean, we could double
did-
check.
You know, we never saw breath either. So you know what? I would bet my money fingerprints and say spirit. I mean, that's just what I'm thinking.
Alright.
We're more likely to have missed the fingerprints than have not gotten the temperatures. I feel like, but.
I would have put my bet on the spirit orbs because sometimes they're really hard to catch, but that's not even an option here, so it's probably the fingerprints.
Alright, ready to roll this door up and leave that corpse?
Almost, yeah. I am good. Bye, Tal.
Time to go. What did I tell you about
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just had to do it once.
I gotta see this again.
I love that. That's my favorite thing. It was a spirit.
Amazing.
You were right.
I was right.
Ollie, we're back. I'm sorry.
I hate to do this though, but I gotta pop
Not
out
gonna
because I
lie.
gotta eat
Doesn't
food
sound
and
like it.
do
Fancy
more
a
homework
bit.
because my life is hell.
You actually jump
That's-
scared me.
That's fine.
Oh
Love you too.
God.
I'm sorry.
I had an actual scream.
I'm so sorry.
I literally screamed. I can't believe in
We-
the session. Oh,
We just scared Oliver by telling him we're back. Oops.
that's fine. It was funny.
This morning everyone was asleep. Cat's still in my parents' room. I saw
Also,
fingerprint.
I've
Oh
said hi,
no.
and I'm assuming now bye.
Goodbye, Upper. Hello, Upper.
Bye, Tyler.
The ghosts get bad though. That's why I can't play it by myself. I have to be with friends so we can make goofs. Otherwise, I get like frustrated and actually scared.
Why is it closed on me? I don't get it. Why is phasmaphobia so janky right now?
And for Yusabu, that happens all the time. I forgot it doesn't let you talk when one person leaves the screen. I'm sorry.
I'll be in there in a second.
Broski.
Oh, you
sorry,
said
I'm
have
here,
fun.
just on my phone.
Oh, oops.
You're fine. I just was. I said I forgot it doesn't let you do push to
Yeah,
talk when you're it's like someone's on the menu
It's okay.
from the last game.
Oh, gotcha.
Completely understand.
We were apologizing because me and Tal scared Oliver.
Come on.
He was in such a trance waiting for us to finish.
Friends.
Oops.
Oopsie.
Oops.
Agreed, Zach.
Tal had to go because of homework, but now we're just gonna wait for Oliver to join.
The game's loading. Just give me a second.
How are you,
have a
brother?
request,
Get
okay.
another one or...
You want me to
Oh,
talk?
okay. I need to figure out some food here in a little while. Got like one or two, well, probably got like one or two left in me for this, depending on how long the next one goes.
That's
I'll
fair.
have to go figure out some din-din.
Mm-hmm. It's always fun playing though, so however long, then you gotta go, that's fine.
Well,
Yeah, that's normal. It's just a ghost. That's kind of what I've had to do at like work.
the laundry. Actually, I should probably just go get the laundry done when I'm not even done here. That'd probably be smart.
Hello.
Do you just have to grab it? Hello.
No, I gotta go start it right now.
Oh shit.
Hi.
Okay, so what do we want to do this time? There is a farmhouse. Oh god, they're all big.
Prison.
It's
I
a
need a warm-up game.
it's a farmhouse, a prison, and a high school.
I personally like farmhouses, but that's whatever. If we do the prison, I ain't bringing a lot of gear. I feel like we'll die.
Yeah.
Farmhouse fun.
Farmhouse fun? Okay. Adam was talking before. He's only got a couple games left on him. Just saying.
Completely fair. Honestly, like,
But-
if that's the case, I can just swap over to Little Nightmares afterwards.
So you playing the first one or the second one?
The first one right now. I'm on the third chapter, I think.
Okay, and that's like your first playthrough for it?
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. It's a really nice.
It's so
game.
good. Wait till you get
And
near
I'm
the
gonna play
end and you
second
get some...
one afterwards.
The end of one, without spoiling anything, there's a part that really felt like a really messed up Tim Burton's like Studio Ghibli movie. It was so good.
Hmm.
I don't
Intriguing.
know, the people that made that game do such a good job of presenting like puzzles that are kind of like head scratchy, and then you're like, oh, that's what I do. They did such a good job of making it feel like organic puzzles. It's fantastic.
The elevator where you have to throw the monkey at the button. I struggled on that for like 5 minutes because I just didn't know what to do.
Oh yeah, that's actually I stopped playing the game for a while, and then the game started getting big online again, and I was like, you know what, I'll revisit this after a few months. I was like, this game's so good.
It's so nice to look at too.
And then I started the second one, and I can tell you, the second one is I'm playing it blind. I haven't watched anyone play it or anything, and it's so good.
It's so good. You're gonna love
I was
it.
really looking for like horror games, and
It's so creepy.
Like that's my favorite genre of everything. So
Yeah, second game won't disappoint.
are we all ready to?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was eating. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
Here I was waiting for
Patiently
the.
waiting.
I was waiting for you guys to have a good conversation. I'm sorry. I was just waiting for the game to start. I was like, this is taking a while to load. Fucking press play. God, I love ramen. Just cheap top ramen, but like it still passes. I should take my pill while I'm at this. Running isn't always the best option, yeah. Okay, I'm hydrated, I'm fed. Need to check on.
Ah,
Fuck you.
this on pro again, or what do you got this difficulty on?
I think this is just on medium at the moment.
Oh, huh. Alright, Saul, Crucifix.
Also, Joe, I just saw that you actually banned the in-game action, so I'll not use a light this round. So I can't use a light this round.
Why not?
Joe banned it.
What? Oh! Joe,
Joe said no.
I'll be your light.
Can you use candles, or is that like nothing? Just nothing.
Let me try. I'll see if I can use a candle, but I can't use a flashlight. Dems the rules.
Dems do be the rules. I'll take the-
Joe, is it okay if I use a flashlight? No, no light. No, okay, he banned light itself. I can't.
Okay, I'll be your light. I'll be your light.
Spooky game only. Okay, so
Spooky. Only scary.
at least I could carry more stuff. The journal and the spirit box.
Right. I got the EMF
And-
readers like my standard. I got that in a camera.
And I also got temp.
And another EMF. This should be fine.
Joe gave me more inventory space. I'm gonna look at it like
Put
that.
Information about the ghost.
Nope.
Her name is Ruth Jones, and it's unsure if she responds to people alone or together. That's new. I haven't seen that yet.
That's
I think that they, if I remember reading right, I think all ghosts have that now, because they were like, now you gotta figure it out.
oh, I hate that.
Can you just tell me
Should be able to use his name to anger it. Okay. Make it easy for me, please. I'll go get it.
I think I
Thank you. Oh, wait, Adam maybe has.
Adam has it.
Yeah.
It's not on the table. I love him so much. God, I love him.
Are you monogamous or polyamorous?
What if she actually answered? She was like, yes, and no.
She better be poly, I swear. Joe, I can't see. I can't see anything. I can't see anything. It is pitch
I
black.
have multiple wives. She says, I have multiple wives and husbands.
Joe says that it only says that kind of stuff on the highest difficulty, so Adam, you're making the game a lot harder.
Oh, you can see? I can't. Oh. Light. I see light. It is pitch black, then I see one of you and I come running. Oh, I didn't even know it was you.
I am guiding you, don't worry.
I didn't even know that was you. Okay,
He's
33.
behind you walking.
This bathroom is confirmed not haunted.
Is it? Because I thought that.
The bathroom is haunted.
Are you haunted? Are you haunted? Are you cursed?
This closet is not haunted.
Are these maps new? I don't think I've seen them.
No, this one's not.
It feels different.
This-
Maybe I just
It's just, I was gonna say, it's been so long.
It has.
I got a whole lot of nothing going on the first floor, it looks like.
I keep getting
Voodoo doll.
39s for a second, but that's it. Get the fingies. Count the fingies and the toes.
What if they had toe prints? I would cry.
That's
I would
what's.
actually lose my fucking mind.
That's what salt is for, friend.
I do have toes.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, that's probably the best idea. Upstairs.
Upstairs
Oh, no.
bathroom confirmed on home.
Why do you check the bathrooms for this?
Bedroom confirmed haunted 2 on the EMF. It's real.
Oh, it's
Oh.
real! The ghost is real!
Bedroom, it might just be this part of the hallway. Or just the door. The doorway's haunted. Just the door. Where is she?
Fingies so far.
Where are you?
Fingies all over this nasty door. You put your fingies on me?
What's
Smart?
that sound? Did she turn something on? There's something like whirring.
You do hear that?
You
Okay.
guys have a... No, I think it's Sarah's mic.
Sarah's mic is haunted. Confirmed.
Sarah's mic is haunted confirmed. What?
I'm turning my mic on and off. Can you hear it? Is it going on and off?
Yeah.
The sound's going on and off? Okay, yeah, it's my mic. I'm sorry.
I did that. Don't worry.
Okay, so the only EMF I had was like basically right near the door here. Like it would
Are you
pop
here?
off right here.
Are you in this doorway?
Ruth Jones.
Ruth Jones, are you a
Sarah-
door?
Yeah, I was about to say, do you have the speaker box?
Yeah, I forgot. Ruth Jones? Are you here?
Ask her what life was like in the 1800s.
What was life like in the 1800s?
Oh, it's
Hello?
not good. It was a 5 on the
EMF
EMF.
four.
Oh, nope, 4. Here's a 4. I'm spooked, y'all. I'm out. Bye. Oh no, who dead? Damn it. Well, did she respond to you? Did she speak to you, Sarah? What's going on?
Oh, the hunt's over. Oh, I was like, what are you doing? Go away.
Yeah, the town's dead, dude. Oh no. Oh no. Time to go, dude. Sarah, do you see it? Where is it? Sarah, are you out there? Hello?
Sarah, are you dead?
Oh, thank God. No, I'm good. I'm leaving.
Okay, we need to get some sanity pills.
No, she didn't talk to me.
Where are you? Where are you? Get on the radio. Why are you crying?
I'm in the van. I'm in the van. Oh no. Oh, he's gonna die for the bit. No! No, Adam! No! Not my brother! Please! Please, it was all just a bit. No! Spare him. Please. No. What? 2%, 3%. He's still alive. He has to still be alive. Adam? Adam? Adam, please. Adam, please, it was all just a bit. God damn it. They're all dead. They're all dead. It's just me. We got EMF. We did not get spirit box or fingerprints. I didn't see ghost orb. I don't know if I want to go back. I didn't see one when he got killed. I'm gonna count that. But there was no freezing temps. Oh, there's so many options. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have to. I'm not going back in, is the thing. He tried to get a picture at the end. Okay, so that you guys hear, I'm pressing Q now. I'm not going back in, but I'm gonna try and figure this out using reasoning. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it does narrow it down. So it's a Phantom, Banshee, Jinn. This is the most commonly used Ouija board. Could have Phantom most considerably, yeah. I don't think so. Banshee is a natural killer that will attack anything. I don't think it's a Phantom. It could be. Banshee's a natural killer. It might be a Banshee. Because they're killing machines. And, oh boy. Jinn is a terrible ghost that will attack when threatened. It has also been known to travel at significant speed. Turning off the location's power source will prevent the Jinn from using its ability. I didn't see any ghost orbs, and she didn't. No, it's not. It's not a Jinn. She didn't like the spirit box. Revenant, Shade, or Oni. Slow but violent ghosts that will attack indiscriminately. Maybe. Hiding from Revenant will cause it to move very slowly. See, she moved so slow when she was near me. I think it might be a Revenant. Whenever she got near me, when I was trying to hide, she started like sneaking around. So I think it might be that. Shade is known to be a shy ghost. Pfft, no. Okay. Unique strengths. Being shy means the ghost will be harder to find. Will not enter hunting mode if the victim, multiple people are nearby. Yeah, it's not a Shade. Cousin to the demon possess extreme strength. There have been numerous more active around the play. Onis are more active when people are nearby and have been seen moving objects, being more active. I think it's a Revenant. Because we also could very easily miss the fingerprints, and we didn't try ghost riding because we didn't have time. So I'm gonna do a Revenant and hope that's it. I'm so sorry y'all died for the bit. We're done here. Oh wait. I'm gonna do the thing so that you guys have time to put it in. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ready or not, everyone's dead. So let's see how we do. It was a spirit. It was a spirit. It was a spirit.
You really said for the bit.
Like I just died on purpose.
No, I'm just a fucking dumbass.
He went inside for 2 seconds and died.
It was very funny though. I heard like in the background behind me, I heard shit.
Well, what's messed up is I could just hear you weeping. And I was like, stop crying, you fool! And I went inside and the door locked. And I was like, it's almost like Sarah made me die here.
That's what I
That
was.
was the bit.
That's why I was crying, Adam. I was in the van. I watched you go in for like half a second, and then the door locked,
Oh
and then
my
I watched you die. I was
This
just.
is all your fault.
I was crying the whole
Dude,
time.
Wow.
Oh wait, you lost a bunch of shit, Adam. It was worse.
It don't matter. I'm rich. I got so much money in the bank.
I was crying in the
I'm gonna go
van.
spend that money right now. Yeah, I got like $1,600 just sitting around.
Okay, high school or prison? I know Oliver's vote.
No choice? No choice in the matter?
They're both.
Prison.
They're both awful.
Alright, then we're gonna satisfy Ollie and do a prison.
Let's go!
Alright. I gotta get this good flashlight. Where is it?
And then we could do something
Where's the
easy
good
afterwards as a
flashlight?
finale. Everyone got a strong flashlight? Or should I add a spare?
I'm
I
trying
got
to
it.
buy shit, but I can't find it. Oh wait, there it is.
Sensor. Oh, sound sensor.
Alright. Here we
Purple
go.
microphone.
This will probably be my last one. We'll see what we do here.
Okay, hopefully we get this one. Did anyone ban anything? I have to go check now. Okay, cool. We're good. We're good. We're good. I can't believe he died. Did anyone happen to clip that? Otherwise, I guess I'll go back later, but... That'd be great if someone clipped that. Please let me know. Be careful, the dark the ghost can sense you. Yeah, it is true. You know, I went in without it, and she slaughtered us all. Wait, but the evidence for spirit is a spirit box and no EMF, which is weird. Because you said it was a 5, didn't you?
Just not... No, I was wrong. I was trying to amend that.
I only got a 4. I just saw it jump up suddenly and I was excited.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so EMF, that's not bad. Capture photo could be bad, and crucifix, that ain't too dead. That ain't too terrible.
James Martinez. Joe, I'm using light this time. You can eat it.
I'm not dying again.
I'm not dying again.
Might help. Alright, I got EMF and camera. No.
Thingy spirit box?
You got fingies? Okay. I got a camera and I'll get the journal.
Okay, cool. Get the heck out of here.
Do we get the key?
Let's keep going.
We got the key.
Time to explore a prison. How fun.
1,000 points and I
Y'all
say
know what
otherwise
happens
don't. No, please don't take my lights away.
My experiences there.
Sarah, have you ever wondered what it's like to go to prison?
I have, but not enough to like
Sarah's
go.
been in prison.
Sarah's been to prison?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I
She's
can
been
believe
to
that.
juvie,
You're a little
and then
feral.
when she was legally an adult, she went to prison for like a week. It was crazy.
Just 1 week though. It's like a
What'd you do?
vacation.
What'd you do?
I don't want to talk about it.
Super
It's
fun.
not up to me. Yeah, she doesn't want. I won't say out of her. I'll respect her privacy enough not to say why she went to prison. I'll just say she did go to prison. So
Sarah, you're
Private
one of my
reasons.
best friends. You gotta tell me why you went to prison.
She's got a dark past.
I won't respect your privacy. You need to tell me right now. Thingy
She
time.
stays quiet. Oh God, I got a 1.
I'm trying to come up with a funny enough reason for me to go to prison.
One in this direction.
Had a, ooh, wait, maybe. I got a 1.7.
This piss boy lord.
It's in here.
Hello?
I went.
Are you here? Are you here?
The best joke, Ollie. The best joke I could come up with. The best I could come up with right now is that I went to an all you can eat buffet and I tried to stay the night. They found me the next morning, and they had to call the cops. There was nothing left in the kitchens. They were bare. It was worse than when the Grinch came and stole Christmas.
You know, it sounds like a chat. By the way.
Wait,
I think it's gonna be upstairs.
Joe, you have to tell him why.
I'm not good with the vibe.
Are you still down?
Can I?
The fuck
Can I ask for one deferral? I will do this next game. Oh no.
Sarah, do you think if I shout ACAB enough, the ghost will kill me?
It depends.
Or will it let me live?
Doesn't matter, shout ACAB all day, every day.
Oh, did you really redeem them? Joe, David. David!
Guys, I think there's an actual ghost in my room. Something just
This is the last game with my bro. I'm doing the stretch right now, but like... Okay, I'm gonna tell them that I can't do voice chat. Okay, I have to say, before I turn this all off, I can't use voice chat, and I don't have lights.
Sarah!
Chat.
You can't play the game. That's what I got. You can't play the game.
Okay, I'm gonna make him choose one. Hang on, I'll be right back. Okay. Okay, so you do... Okay. David, I love you. Okay, so lights. I can use voice chat, but no lights, right? I do need one of them. Okay. I will refund your voice one, though, so you could do that next game. I refunded the points, but no lights. Okay, so I can use voice chat, but no lights.
That's slightly more reasonable.
You're gonna die so bad.
Here, look, even as sacrifice. So you should have those points back. Here, I'll just like dance on the walls. Marco. Polo. Polo. Y'all good?
Adam's popping off, I guess. Hi, Sarah.
Hi. Hello. I was so afraid.
I got you. Are you here? Can you kill Sarah for me?
I will kill you myself.
You're dragging the ghosts around us by following us around. You said EMF 1 in here?
No, so I haven't seen any EMF since walking around.
Empty. This is quiet.
This is quite nice if you ask me. Just chill.
Just an evening
Mark
stroll.
Walton abandoned. You know, I don't think this is
Hey,
that
Ollie.
crowded.
Hey, Ollie.
What?
Yeah, we can just call it a day.
We can make some use of these.
Oh my god, Sarah! Nasty! Nasty!
I didn't say
I'll
what.
say this. I'll say this forever and always. ACAB.
Oh, ACAP for sure.
No handcuffs
There you
allowed.
go.
Well, like, if I ask first.
See, if I ask for consent,
Yeah.
then it's fine.
It's just they don't ask for consent first. They
Are
say you
here in
have
this
to.
tiny room. Are you here?
Is this room haunted?
Martinez, I forgot your first name.
I don't know, but you remember the last map we asked if what life was like in the 1800s? It got pissed.
Yeah, it,
Got
I,
fucking mad.
yeah.
Oh,
It's pissed
oh.
again. Time to go. EMF 4, 3. It's just 4. It ain't 5 though.
I'm fine.
Ad, we all lived. He got very close to me. Did he get close to anyone else?
Yeah.
So, Adam, what have we learned not to ask?
About the 1800s?
Yeah, what have we learned not to ask?
Stop asking about the 1800s.
I'll never ask that question again.
Hey, what was life like in the 1800s, huh? Am I right?
I'm gonna kill you.
Am I right, gamers?
Here, can someone shine a light over by the handcuffs? Because I'm gonna set down the... Thank you.
Got both of us
I mean,
leaving.
do you think it's this room? Because I didn't have an EMF reading until it hunted us.
I guess
don't
that's a
think
good
so.
question. You don't think so? Okay. I was just gonna set up a
Joe
camera
said
here,
that
but...
the EMF goes crazy during hunts, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
So, like, well, the thing is, we've had no activity. I mean, I guess he started hunting in this room, but
Are you here?
I'm just not getting a lot.
But what if you were here, though, Smile?
Whoa.
Here, what if I just set this one down, then we go get another one?
Ask him how he feels about universal basic income. That was it.
How do you feel about universal basic income, Got
Any minute now, he'll be here.
F.
Likely remind this ghost that it works in Alaska,
I am lost.
Where are you?
I'm lost. Oh, I'm behind you guys.
You can't bring a flashlight.
There, uh-oh. Oh no. That's not good. That's not good at all. Ready to die, homie? Sarah, I see you. I'm gonna follow you. There's no way the ghost can hear me.
Shut the fuck up. I'm gonna kill you. Leave me alone. I'm at least gonna see death coming.
It's a fucking joke! This is a fucking... Oh, this is a fucking joke!
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Well, someone's dead.
Well, that person has a name, Sarah. Come on now.
My friend is dead. The last thing I said to him was, I asked him to put handcuffs on him. I'm not comfortable with that.
Say his name, Sarah.
Oliver died.
There you go.
Oliver died. We should find his body, actually.
Probably.
I was
I
trying
want to
to.
get out of this cursed land.
We haven't
I
found
hate this
anything.
This microphone sucks.
Oh, I found his.
Sorry,
I found his
it
body.
sucks.
Oliver, you didn't
I
even
don't have a
hide. Oliver, you didn't even hide.
Oh, well, doesn't matter now because we're finna die, dude. Time to go. I'm going downstairs. stairs, Sarah. Sarah, you have to keep going. You have to believe. It's very slow, whatever it is. Oh, I think it heard me and it sped up. Probably right behind me. Still alive.
He doesn't know. He never got the memo that they can hear.
Sarah, you alive?
Oh, you're alive. Adam, I feel like I need to let you know. They can hear you when you're talking.
Yeah, oh no, I know. I'm not afraid of it.
Oh, okay. As long as you know. Let's get out of here.
Time to go, though, dude. I'm gonna try to get out of here. I don't know where the exit is.
It's downstairs.
I don't know where that is.
It's this way. Oh. Wait.
This way, dude.
I thought you were right behind me. I saw your light. Go back to where you and I were, where Oliver died.
The room there?
Yeah, he was right by the stairs.
Back any minute.
A, B, C, D,
I hear you.
E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
Oh no.
Yeah, okay. Nah, it's not the beta.
Yay, afterlife homie!
Hey! Yay! H-I-J-K, I'm gonna be Q-S. W-X.
No longer have to fear death.
I don't, and life is, and you know what? Death is so much lighter. I can see.
Yay. I was talking about this. Does the dead world look a lot more polished to you now?
Oh no, he found out I'm dead. No, this isn't the beta. Also, the reason I, death is so much later. The reason I stayed over by the stairs, even though it was definitely in the open.
You didn't close the door to the office.
Oh.
You left the door open. That's why I died.
Oh, that's why you yelled, "This is BS."
So I blame that.
That's fair.
I would have lived.
I stayed there even though it was in the open because I was like, I'm gonna die here, but you know, if he finds my body, then he'll find the stairs. Cause like, look, I'm pointing right at the stairs.
Very true.
I'm like this way.
You're pointing at the wall, actually.
Oh, on my screen, I'm pointing at the stairs.
You're facing the wall and then turn towards the water.
Oh. You found it.
By the way, Joe asked if you still wanted to play Thousand Study or if you could join.
Oh yeah, I still want to play.
Want to play though, that's fine.
I do.
Then Joe can join us after having good stuff.
Heck yeah. Here, let's go follow him on his journey.
I think he's still upstairs, isn't he?
No, I hear him outside.
Oh, you suddenly sound so much better. What happened?
I don't know. I didn't change anything.
For some reason your mic was muffled.
Weird. Nothing changed.
Like wicked muffled. I don't know.
Weird.
Maybe it was because like when you died your head was in a wall on my... Now we went downstairs, so like you're no longer on that level. That could be it.
That would make sense.
Well, Adam isn't dead yet.
Oh, he's reasoning. Oh no, we should have been listening.
honestly have no fucking clue what it is.
No, we don't have anything.
I keep dying too fast to actually do anything.
No, Adam, we don't know.
Wait, no, don't hit the button, stop!
Put a guess in. Put a guess in.
Wait, no, don't do it!
Put a guess in. Put a guess in.
Well,
When I write the book, I'm gonna say that I did everything myself when I was a hero.
I hate him so much. Why is he like this?
Damn it! It wasn't a raid.
Did everything yourself, huh? Did it all by yourself. You're the best, huh?
I wouldn't know what you guys. I wouldn't know what you guys are talking about.
I'm the best, huh?
I don't know what you heard, but
Although
basically
died so far.
that was getting pretty dicey.
Okay,
You were a split second off being killed by the ghost. I was following you. It was right behind you, and then it despawned as soon as you went into that office area, and it went in there with you.
I heard this. The worst part is I could hear it the whole time. I could hear it breathing and stomping. Yeah, God.
It's that little ghost with the
Alright.
scythe.
real quick, as a last thing, I thought it was so funny. Oliver welcomed me into the afterlife, and I was just like, hey! And we were hanging out, and then I heard your wails on the other side of the prison as you realized I was dead.
It was a pretty harrowing moment. I had a very bad feeling.
Yeah, I died by the stairs, though. You found the stairway.
I think I'm never picking up the parabolic microphone again. That item was crap, and that item is still crap. It doesn't do anything. It's a pile of junk.
That's fair. I mean, it attracted the ghost to you.
Yeah, if anything, it made things far worse.
Yeah.
Alright, y'all. I'm gonna go get some laundry done, eat my dinner. You guys have a good evening.
I hope you had fun, bro. I love you.
No, it was good. Love you too. Love
Okay.
you too. It was very fun. See you.
See you later. Have a good night. Hello?
I was sending Joe digits.
I see.
This is cursed. Stop doing that.
Oh my god, there's two of them.
Whoa!
Both E-boys.
There's-
We're both E-boys. This model
Let's
game.
go.
Although one's about to get
More
much
central.
more cursed.
E-boys. E-boys. Well, now you're in trust level. You're a lower level. Joe!
Just level 100.
Why are you level 100?
You know what happens?
How much do you play this game?
Not daily.
That's
Played it daily.
that's a good level. Okay, so not to just throw you in, Joe, but farmhouse, high school, street, or asylum?
Your pick.
Farmhouse.
Farmhouse.
Now I want to die in. Well, I don't know actually, because Joe's here. I might die immediately.
Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to
Sarah's
do
an
voice chat.
amateur. Oh god, did you get another?
I refunded David's thing.
How do you have those? It
Did he
has
do it again?
options.
He might. I'm waiting to see. Oh, he did. Okay. Yeah, I won't be able to voice it. I was waiting to see if he was gonna.
Just as I come in too.
It'll be fine. We'll
How it
do.
be sometimes.
I'll talk to you the round after. It's okay.
Sarah, I'll miss your sweet voice. Calms me through the scary
too.
times. Now I have to talk to Joe, which you know is equally as fun but different.
Can't I add stuff? Oh, I can't add stuff because it's already maxed out. Okay, I see now. Thank you, Joe. Okay, no voice chat. I didn't mean to like pressure you into it. I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if you wanted it for this round. Okay, it definitely is because you guys are in Kentucky, because Adam was in here every single time. So, you know, at least that's confirmed. You want to see it, not hear it. Gotcha, gotcha. Is that...
Sarah? Who
Is that-
can't
is that-
find
Is that the Bapius? Is that the Bapius? From Twitch.tv?
Jump around the game. I'd be jumping non-stop.
Is this close enough? It's close enough for you, Joe. New jump run is just crouch run.
What are you guys doing?
I can't answer that.
I hate that. I actually hate that. Stop doing that. Stop it. No, Sarah. Sarah, stop. What the hell? I hate this. Oh, cringe. I have a bot.
You have a bot, you yucky. Imagine not having a personality and being automatic. Wouldn't be me.
Imagine not having a personality, huh?
Oh shit, I have to set that. I have to set that up. Shoot.
Oh wait, this isn't a strong flashlight. I haven't been using the strong
nothing.
flashlights the whole time.
Huh?
Oh my god, I've been using the regular flashlights.
Just frightening me. What are you doing?
No such thing. No break. Only happy.
Donna Garcia.
It's not a good time. I can't hear Sarah's beautiful voice.
Oh.
It's fine. You have my beautiful voice. Don't worry about it.
Very true.
We're up on the side.
And that's twice as beautiful, actually. Only responds to people who are alone.
I want to take pictures of Sarah. That's EMF here. Yeah! Yeah! Let's go!
Wait. We got a
Get it.
camera.
Just waiting photos.
Not there. We'll leave them off later.
Alright, have
Let's go.
Ghost. Okay, so I can't talk, but I'll do Spirit Box. I'll let the ghost talk for me. What was it, Mona Garcia? I don't actually remember. Donna Garcia. That makes much more sense. Likes people who are alone, which is good because I got, not to throw them under the bus, but left behind.
Yo, I'm homosexual, just, you know, we could be homies.
Donna Garcia, are you here?
I do not remember the layout of this.
Are you
Damn
here?
house at all. Yeah, you play this game?
Hello? Are you here?
No, I really doubt
Hello?
it.
Ma'am? Ma'am, are you here?
Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
I can't put your mouth.
Are you Samantha?
Hey, yo, Samantha.
Her name's not Samantha, it's Donna.
Are you here? Are you with us?
Are you here?
Samantha didn't die?
Hello?
Well, if we just pretend her name is this, she can't attack me.
Hello?
Are you okay?
Oh, she'll give you a hug from behind, alright.
I'm gonna go... Oh, this is all the way upstairs. I thought this was the 3-story.
Put them in your bio.
Oh, Donna Garcia. Are you here?
The Jerry Trainer put his pronouns in his bio? You should do that too.
Hello?
Oh!
What was that?
Yeah, hey, Gilbert.
Oh god, Samantha, that was uncalled for.
Oh, yeah, temperature drop a little. Samantha?
Hello?
Hello?
Is anyone here? Oh.
I'm gonna get stuff, I swear.
They think I'm just dancing.
I will be back. I am grabbing
Wait. No, come here. Come here.
Ah! she ready? Oh wait, you don't have this normally, do you? Like,
No.
it's something that you get if, like, there's a ghost that applies with the... Yeah, okay. That's good to know. I think that she was in the room off to the left there.
Is anyone here? Hello? Can you please show yourself?
I can't put that
Hello? Is anyone
up.
here?
Luigi board.
No, I turned out the lights.
Luigi board time, baby. What's your name?
Donna Garcia.
What's your name?
Donna Garcia is her name.
What's
How-
your name?
How old are you? Here, let's actually...
What's your name? Can you write in the book for us? Hey, Joe, we found a Luigi board.
Found a Luigi board.
Yeah. So that means it's a ghost that has to protect you.
What room are you in?
Oh, you turned it on.
Where are
Okay,
you?
have to turn it on.
Where are you? Where are you? Tell me where you are, Samantha.
Oh,
Samantha, where are
alone.
I need to know.
Alone.
you? Samantha, please. Don't keep this information from me. Where are you?
Do you prefer the name Sammy?
I don't. How old are you? How old are you? How old are you? Please. How old?
What are your pronouns?
How old are you, Samantha?
How do I say alone?
I don't know.
How do I say
Got it.
alone?
It
Exactly
worked once.
Samantha.
I'm sure. You know what? No, I'm gonna go check. I'm gonna go check with Matt.
Talk to
Why
her.
am I being closed in here?
Because alone. Because of one. No. Alone.
Being feral right
No.
I'm not. I'm trying to play the game. You have to be. You have to be alone. You have to be alone. No, Oliver. Oliver, stop. You have to be alone. She likes people who are alone.
She's gonna start hunting. I swear.
Donna Garcia, please. I'm working with two idiots.
Why am I trapped here?
Because she
I'll
likes
turn out the light.
she likes people who are alone.
Samantha, I respect your pronouns. You say trans rights.
I have to guard the door and make sure Jen doesn't go in.
Why give us a Ouija board if it doesn't fucking work?
No, no, no. Ugh.
Get the heck out of here. Sarah, did you go in there?
Freezing temps. Hello? Can you hear me?
You left there. You right.
Hey, what's the name?
Joe.
It was Samantha. I checked, I promise.
Yeah, sure.
It was the last.
Can you hear me?
Oh, that's a nice last name.
Can you show me a sign? It's definitely this room. Can you give me a sign, please? I'm gonna make a racket. Can you give me a sign?
Sarah, are you okay in there?
Is Sarah being kind of feral?
I didn't trap you. I'm working. Hey Donna, can you write on the
Hey!
book?
Yeah, here's your mic.
I didn't know if the game. I didn't know if the game. I didn't know if they could.
Where are you?
Oh, hey, cold,
Oh,
cold
freezing.
temperatures.
Freezing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was one person.
No good.
One.
You
Close.
done.
Sarah, can you stop closing this fucking door?
I need you guys to go in one at a
done.
time. One at a time.
Cheated.
One more time.
Can you do that thing where you bend all the way backwards and teabag again?
Hey, yo, Donna, what is your name?
Yeah! Pop up! Let's go! It's
I
so
thought you
funny.
hated this.
Pop up!
It's different when I do it.
Donna, can
There we
you
go.
spell your name for Can you spell your name for me? Oh, it's so cold in here. Oh, you want to cuddle up together, maybe?
Shh.
She's in there! She wanted to cuddle up, alright.
Donna.
Hey, baby, I get it. I get it. Okay?
I get it.
Can you write in the book for me, Donna?
Hey, yeah, I get it.
I know we're starting to catch
swear to
feelings
God.
and all, but
She
I really
likes people alone. She likes people alone. She likes people alone. Back up.
Just letting a couple be together. A new developing
Yeah, I
couple.
was just kind of...
Get back in there.
Alright.
Get back in there. Get
Sarah,
back.
she said
Like,
she
we're
wants
all just on the...
Donna, please. Please give me a sign. Please.
You know, Sarah, if
Donna, please.
it ever
Please give me a sign.
happens, tell me
I
Are
can't.
you here?
Are you here?
Alright,
Will
where
you
are
please? Please show me.
Where are you?
No.
Where are you?
It would be nice.
Are you here? Where are you?
When will they get the message?
You're an all-star.
Donna, I was the only one who understood you, ma'am. Yeah, that wasn't a good hiding spot, but I didn't have time. She was right behind me. Give me something to throw at them. Hand it over. You fools. Donna Garcia. Donna Garcia. Donna Garcia. Donna Garcia. Donna Garcia. No, Donna Garcia, over here. Back up this way.
Joe, I'm scared.
Get the heck out of here!
I like that idea. Pretty sure
I'm afraid! What do we got? We got freezing temperatures.
That's it.
Let me turn on the power real quick. Oh, wait, it's still on. We can just turn on the lights. Did you get anything from the spirit box by chance?
I tried to, but I got nothing so far.
I like a little song.
Where did he go?
Are you...
Oh my god. Oh, she's got him. Oh, she's got him. Hey Donna, he's over here. Hey Donna, he's back here. Yeah. Let's see who I'm welcoming into the afterlife. Oh wait, I can't welcome them.
Sarah, where are you? Are you throwing shit at me? Is that you? I'm assuming that was you? Okay, well, yeah, I thought it was I thought that there was a paper guy, so because things were flying all around the room when it was
Oh,
mentioning.
you didn't address it, so I didn't think. Let's
Joe's
go.
all alone.
Let's go find Joe. I wonder if he's in the truck. He could be in the truck figuring this out.
Well, I guess we can just go. It's time to go to heaven. Let's go.
Check of my life. Bring a UV light.
The following.
The book.
The book.
The book. It's reading Rainbow. Wow.
Wow, he's out. We're reading Rainbow.
Alright, Samantha. You may have tricked me once, but you won't trick me twice.
It's Donna. Donna Garcia.
Left shoes, I guess.
Oh, fingers?
Interesting.
So it's either a banshee or a wraith. What you thinking, Sarah?
I
shake your
can't.
head once for banshee, shake your head 2 for wraith.
Oh, let's see. Let's see. Banshee, Natural Hunter, or Wraith. Where is it? Oh, we should try. Oh.
I think it's a wraith. Yeah. Did you say no?
Samantha thinks she's
Yes, and no?
I'm done with you. I think.
Salt.
Oh, he's doing the salt. Yes. Because I don't think it's a wraith. She wasn't flying through.
Salt.
My little footsies.
Salt.
Okay, no,
Fingerprints. No footprints.
no cozy roses.
Help me. What you are. Goodbye.
Oh, I don't get to see the glorious photos that were taken of me. I think it's Banshee. Or whatever the other one is. Yeah, Banshee. No, Joe, wait. No, Joe, wait. No, Joe, wait. Oh, I don't think it's a Wraith. No, I think it's a Banshee.
I think. Pretty sure it's Wraith. See you. 07.
I think it's a Banshee. For the crucifix. Hmm.
No, I was wrong.
Wait, but I guess. Oh, okay, it's cool.
Wrong.
It's a garbage banshee? Okay.
I guessed a
No, it wasn't
Banshee.
Banshee. Let's
Gotta
go.
be that
Sarah kinda smart.
I thought it was a Banshee, because,
So you have baby.
when I was watching her, you couldn't find this out, but when she was dead, she wasn't walking through walls. Like, Anyway. Banshees walk through
They
walls.
normally walk through
Yeah,
walls?
That is
Ah,
not something I would have known.
Yeah.
but she didn't walk through walls, and it said she was a banshee.
Oh, Wraiths walk through walls.
The one or the other.
Okay, you said a banshee walks through walls.
Oh, I'm sorry. A Wraith walks through walls, and she didn't walk through walls.
Yeah.
So that narrowed it down for me.
Yeah.
That's why I was trying to
That is a
shake.
Good
Yeah,
observation.
That's why I was trying to nod my head twice at you, because I had to read and figure out which one.
Oh! I completely forgot that, to be fairly honest.
Once for Wraith, twice for Banshee. And you were like, yes, Wraith, right? I'm like, no.
Yes, Wraith time.
Also,
Yo.
wait, okay, last thing.
Okay.
I wasn't
Why is
pranking.
Joe in charge?
Hang on. No, I have to. I have to.
Have the hot seat.
I have the hot seat. Hang on.
I don't.
I have to talk to you guys.
Says Joe.
I wasn't being feral and pranking you. I can hear you. I wasn't being feral and pranking you with the door. I was trying to say only one person at a time. Because she likes people alone. So when you were in there by yourself, I closed the door and was trying to keep everyone out, and you kept playing with me.
We're not paying attention to anything at all. We just went in. We didn't look at anything.
You started playing peekaboo with me. Oh, I think he's dead.
He's popping off. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah!
He's popping off. Let's go. Good Joe.
Games not like this. Oh my god.
Let's choose a job.
Asylum, farmhouse, street house.
Accept it. Asylum.
Asylum.
Asylum. I wanna meet some crazy people. Joe, you got a radio? Yeah.
Let's go!
Yeah.
Also, of course, I'm glad you guys are using them. I was worried they weren't all that entertaining because no one was using them, to be honest. I like doing them. It's just, I don't know. Can't make people do things, you know?
Oh, me.
Just doing a quick check. Joe. God, I lived. I know.
Stripe ups.
Hello.
Yellow?
Donald Brown
Donald Brown.
only responds to people who are alone. Did we read that?
I don't like being alone. I don't like it.
Well, we just gotta close the door behind you.
I like being with my friends.
I like being with my friends too. But sometimes you just gotta not be a baby and be alone.
Fake a hunt.
Got you something.
How are you hitting that button so fast? How? Sarah can hear you passing.
Ah,
Hold on, wait.
it's Cookie Clicker. I've been trained. Here, wait, hang on.
Like I'm
You'll
going
never
off acid
guess.
because Joe's doing that joke. Is it OC shit? Is it OC doing that to you?
Go with that.
No, he's got an auto clicker.
Sounds better.
I've been trained by Cookie Clicker, so you know, there's not much to brag
I
about.
already heard a door open.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
Hey, yo, Samantha version 2, let's go!
It's Donald Brown.
He said Samantha
Samantha.
version too.
She did.
No, he said version. I thought he said virgin.
Oh, I see.
Like you were calling the ghost a virgin.
Hey, Donald, you here?
Wait, isn't that word banned on Twitch now too?
Yeah, but who cares?
Yeah.
Hey, Donald. Joe, I found your stuff. I found your stuff, yeah.
That's, his sick spray can.
Yeah. Oh, there he is. Yeah, your spray can's there in here.
Right here.
Wait, what did you throw?
No more tools needed.
No, Joe!
No more tools needed.
Oh my-
It's fine, I've got the temperature check. Let's go. Hey, yo, these are very, very topical nowadays with COVID-19. How many times do you get your forehead checked every day, Sarah?
I actually stopped.
You don't get your forehead checked when you go into work?
No, because they have a,
Sarah's about to get arrested.
because they do, like, one of the phone ones, basically. They have a tablet set up, and it's basically broken. It keeps picking everyone up at, like, 90 degrees, no matter what. And it's in, like, a very air-conditioned area, so I'm just like, no one's ever gonna fail this. I'm done. The temperature reader's broken. So, you know. Oh, I thought that was a door.
No, he's just clicking his flashlight again. We can hear you, Joe.
Donald, you here?
Donald Brown.
Donald
Are
Brown.
you here? Donald Brown. That's a hard name to say. I don't know what.
Donald Brown. Because it's a lot of
Brown.
No, nothing. Okay.
Hello? Oh no! I can hear myself in your mic, Sarah.
Donald Brown.
Donald Brown.
Hello?
Can you write this book for me, Donald Brown?
Maybe, pretty please.
Nice little book with your name on it.
Can you draw us a pretty picture?
When do we start doing the baby voice?
Pretty picture, please.
Pretty picture, please. Hello?
I would like your signature.
I would like your signature so that way I can use your social security number to get money.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that.
Oh, Donald Brown.
Donald Brown.
Nothing detected.
Where are you?
Oh,
Donald,
McDonald.
Donald.
Oh, guys, I just remembered.
I would like to share your business.
Alone.
No particular reason.
God damn it, that's why.
Yeah. Bye. Bye. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. Not heavily, but like... Hello, is anyone here? What is this? Hello? Is there anyone here? Hello? How are you? Hi. Are you here? God, what? Hey, guys, what can I ask the ghost? I don't want to just walk around and go, hey, are you here? What's your age? And give me a sign, you know? What's your persona?
How you guys doing?
Oh, I
Oh,
found
hey.
someone.
Didn't see you there.
Nah, not yet. Hey, ghost. Oh, well.
You have to come downstairs.
Now you watch from this side. Hey, ghost, are you a piss baby? Oh, let's go find him then. Saber, I'll ask your question once I get there. Ask about the 1800s lifestyle. Yeah, okay. If Are You a Piss Baby doesn't kill us. How do I get down there? Hey, where's the stairs? Joe, I'm gonna kill you for that statement. Where are stairs?
Beautiful. Now I just have to get... Why are you doing my shit on a...
I just want stairs.
Come downstairs.
What do you think I'm doing?
Come downstairs.
I'm trying. Where are the stairs? Yeah, but I can't tell from where. Okay. Oh. You're so far away. I'm still walking. To the left? There's walls that way. Hello? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. I found an elevator.
I see your light, I see your light.
Oh? Thank you so much. I was on the opposite side of the asylum. I don't know how you heard me.
Come with me. So I just have really good ears. I'm blind as hell.
Thank
though.
you.
Come with me. I have something to show you.
Show me the secret.
Hey Joe, where are you at right now?
Is Joe dead?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Is this? Oh, hey. Hey, how's it going?
See me through the wall.
Yeah, your arm is actually the giveaway. So, which room are we getting activity in? Even like a little bit.
Here. This is my barber shop. Sit down in a chair.
Oh, it's good. I need it, groom.
We're role playing. This
Oh,
is role play.
you didn't even ask.
Your hair.
You didn't
It
even.
sounds like it, right?
You didn't even ask what I wanted.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm a speed run cutting your hair.
Oh, there's 2 barbers here. That's interesting.
Yeah. we co-work.
You guys are getting rid of all my hair.
We're speed running your haircut.
Guys, I have no hair left. It's just skin. Stop. You have to stop. Please.
What is this roleplay? I don't like where this roleplay went.
Please.
Now look in the mirror and see your new beautiful self.
I can't.
Donald Brown.
I'm a shiny light.
Show up. You are a shiny light. You're my shiny light. Smile. What?
Well, maybe you're mine.
What do you mean?
Oh, no. Okay, then I gotta switch.
Donald Brown.
Hey, Donald Brown, you here?
Donald Brown.
Are you here?
Donald Brown.
Hmm. I'm not picking anything up.
The lowest I got is
Hmm. What's like regular?
regular is like it's around that. It's like 16.
Oh, okay. Because I switched it to Fahrenheit, so I don't know what the difference is. Also, Adam's reporting us for no masks on during the barber session.
Oh, you're right. Shit.
Yeah.
I wish they added that to phasmaphobia where you can models and masks.
That'd be nice. And then you could opt in and out of it.
Donald Brown!
Hello.
Oh, hi.
What's this room?
I don't know. I just found it. I just...
I think I'd have better luck if I just walked around with the fingerprint. But what if it doesn't have fingerprints?
Just take it easy for a little bit.
Sarah, where'd you go? You're missing
Donald
one.
Brown, please. I'm so bored.
Give me kissy, Donald Brown.
Donald Brown, please. Donald Brown. Oh wait, hang on. Hey, Donald Brown, are you a piss baby? Are you a piss baby, maybe?
Whoa.
What's it like living in the 1800s?
Oh no! Death is inevitable now.
Bloody Mary? Are we summoning Bloody Mary?
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary,
Bloody
Bloody Mary.
Mary, Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary.
I'd kiss a Bloody Mary.
Have you guys kissed Bloody Mary?
Duh. Who wouldn't? Straight boy. Get away from me.
What's wrong?
Guys, we have to be alone.
Oh no! It's on!
Oh, this is awful. What are we gonna do?
I don't want to be alone. You guys are fighting her. This stupid fucking ghost.
Get out. Get out. Get out.
What?
This is so much
Get
funnier
the
though.
fuck.
Follow me. Lord.
How are you in here already? God damn.
It was the 1800s, like my friend.
Please.
What was it like?
The 1700s
What's it like
then.
to live in the 1800s? What about the
What was it
60s?
like to live?
What was it like
What
living
is
in
it like to
2020?
die? Does it hurt?
Sorry, you're asking existential questions.
Hey Donald, are you here? Is this your wife? Please. Please, I just need anything. Just something. Is this you? Please, Donald. I just need something.
Where's is this Donald's
Please.
wife?
That's what I'm asking him.
She's so hot.
She's so pretty. Do you want to see what I think Donald is?
Yeah.
Donald.
Donald?
Donald. He looks like a nerd, right?
Yeah, it looks like an absolute fucking nerd.
Yeah.
I'll have back to cutting hair.
Alright.
That was fun. Next year,
Oh, hey, didn't see there.
Hey there.
Oh, you're wrong room. This.
Working on place.
Mm.
Here we
Get in there, fam.
I want to die and my hair is getting so long.
Maybe.
Get out!
Sorry.
That shadow made it look like there was a hunt. Wait, Joe, did you leave? Oh, my battery's dying. How? I blocked you in.
Well, it's been a while. I don't actually remember.
Hello.
Can't die here. I just can't die. I don't know what to do. I've said his name so many times.
Donald Brown, please. Please, I crave death.
I crave death. I crave the kiss of death specifically. Let me
Alright.
alone. Where was that? Why would it matter if there's two people compared to one? Who cares? He's probably like upstairs.
Because he likes people
You're
alone.
fucking around in a haircut and so on. Whoops.
But
Wait, Joe, you do something real quick.
what's up?
Am I okay?
Okay, I'm afraid, but okay. Okay, I'm afraid, but okay.
So you're gonna crouch,
Mhm.
facing away from this chair where I would sit,
Alright.
and then lean back. Yeah, let's go! You're so comfortable!
So comfortable.
You're so comfy right now.
Oh
my
my
god, you look so comfortable. I'm jealous.
I can
Hold on, wait, let me show
feel
you
the
what it looks like
comfort.
real quick. Let me show you what it looks like real quick. Sarah, I need you to move so you can see me do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna send me a
Sorry to
screenshot.
take away from your comfort
Oh, I'm
position.
sorry. I was just so comfortable. Oh, you went behind the chair. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's so good and cozy.
So nice to just lay back and bend my knees a little bit.
That cake's kind of making it hard for you, though. Like, lean back again.
I know.
Yeah, I'm a bit thick.
Just like a little bit. Like
Not
it's
gonna
get.
lie.
I can tell it's getting in the way. You know.
Hey Joe, I'm too thick right
I know.
I gotta go.
You need to come over there.
Yeah, you need to come here and lighten the load for him.
Yeah. I need somebody to share the thickness with.
Spread the cake, you know.
Gotta spread the. No, Sarah, no, I'm not gonna say that.
I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I meant like share, not like.
So unbelievable fucking inappropriate.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Who said he's shy? Do you think he's a little soft boy?
Oh, definitely.
Are you a soft boy? You drink Soylent?
He's definitely shy. If we want to give in at any point, I'm just gonna guess the shy one.
What's a guy gotta do to get the grocery done on the license bill?
Because I think he's an incel. I think he's a lonely incel. Ah!
So loud right next to me.
How do I leave?
Oh, well, we get like
Oh, Sarah.
Has-
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, has anyone seen the exit? Ah! I can't scream too loud.
I got my shit turned down. I don't know
Please help.
when you turn the music down, you feel okay?
As hell.
Hey, Donald Brown, you here? Do you need help?
You think you broke a leg or something?
Complaint. Probably. He probably needs our help.
He probably needs help, right?
No, you're gonna break it.
I want to leave so bad. I want to leave this area.
Disgusting shit that's all over the
I don't know if I'm walking in circles. If I am, it's not on purpose. I'm just gonna keep walking forward. Bro, I'm so lost.
Sarah, where'd you go?
I'm trying so bad to find the exit. Oh my god, please be the exit. I think I opened that door. Oh, I found him. He's on the other side. He's in a room on the other side. I found him.
Sarah, you sound kind of, like, freaked out.
He came.
I don't think he's really that.
He came at me with an axe.
He's an incel, you know?
Sarah,
My everything crashed. Hello? Hi, how long was I down?
Sarah, you got fucking Thanos.
Yeah, I really did.
You
My
know
wife.
where he is?
My wife, I had a fart. Yeah?
I
Yeah?
would never do that to you, Joe. Look, the lights are on, we're safe. Write in the damn book for me.
Look, I'm just gonna play basketball on my own, so.
Wait, which one?
I'm just gonna go play basketball.
Which room? This one? What up, baby? Write in the damn book for me. Oh! Hey!
got really mad at me. Did you write in the book for at least?
Hmm.
Ooh, it's cold in there. I'm not exactly freezing, but it's cold. You can't see it like that. I'd kiss him, maybe, on the lips a little bit. Okay, okay, okay. Hi. Hi.
So how's your nights going? How's all your nights going? I'm getting murdered and disconnected, so like, it's an evening. Okay, that was loud.
Sorry, Sarah. Joe's all alone. I told him I wouldn't disappear.
Oh, I'm unmuted. I thought I was muted this whole time. I'm so sorry.
You're unmuted. No, it's okay. No, I'm sorry, Joe.
You guys found him then?
Yeah, he was mad that we called him an incel.
Ah, okay. Sounds about
Real
right.
fucking angry.
How's
I
Joe?
thought he was a fat little soft boy.
Yeah, we did. We were wrong.
Oh,
God, we
man,
were
so
wrong.
sad. So sad.
He's freaky though, right?
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw of him at the very least.
He's just a shadow that comes at you with an axe. I was trying to find an exit, and I just was walking away. He came from the corner.
Where'd Joe go? Jobert? Josiah?
Josiah?
Joseph? Upper said quote unquote nice guy. Oh, there he is. Oh yeah, he's hunting. What up, baby? He's real slow though.
Joe has so much stuff.
Don't let Joe die. Don't let Joe die. Oh, he's like he's not a shadow. He's a raggedy old man. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, really? For me, he was a shadow.
Well, it's probably because it was dark.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had my
He's
light
like
on
a-
him.
He's a raggedy old man if you get up close.
Mm.
He looks like a shadow from a bit of a distance. But then I saw his bald spot and I laughed.
Oh no.
Poor old man. I have on the showers. Let's go.
That was big yawn.
Oh, Joe's gone. Joe's gone. I didn't even get the chance to choose what it is.
Oh, he got out?
Yeah, we got no evidence.
At least he got out, man.
Look it out.
Let me know when you guys are back in the lobby.
We're back in.
Okay. So... I'm just gonna... Oh, there we go. Is it taking a second or did my... Okay, fine. I guess I have to... Hello? I'm gonna restart my game because that's weird. Why is it doing this? Hello? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Demon. Demon. Do it again. Do it again.
Demon. Demon.
E-girl. E-girl. E-girl alert.
Demon.
Scary.
Demon.
Pablo.
Oh no.
Who's that? Oh no.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Wait, how
What
did
was
you
that?
lock this, Sarah?
I walked over there. I realized you guys were in the locker.
We're in yet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's that one.
That sounds like the Home Depot song. You just triggered me. No. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Good one.
Oh, I'm in charge.
You're in charge.
Yeah.
Because someone died.
You guys want a farmhouse?
Harpies. Not an asylum. Farmhouse, please. We just did an asylum. Did you not see how it went?
It was so funny though.
It was so funny.
That me clapping at Bappius, Twitch.tv/Bappius.
Just so TV/Bappius?
Joe on Twitch.
What? No, don't do that.
That guy's such a legend.
Yeah, do that.
Have you seen his
So
streams?
funny.
No, it's a scam.
He's
Scam, I
so
don't
funny.
support- I barely stream.
Bro, he's so funny. He's my favorite streamer. Oh, okay. I thought my game was gonna crash again. Oh. Hello. God. Joe, I love you so much, but God, you make me so viscerally angry sometimes. There's no response, just like...
There was gonna be more to that, but I can't hold in the laugh.
Oh, wait, go back.
Alrighty. Play video game. This one might.
Okay, so,
A lot of fun.
so this one's Maria Taylor.
No,
Only response to...
what if you're wrong?
Okay, I'm gonna say Maria, you say Maria.
Joe.
Demon.
Demon. Yeah, imagine being left alone with that.
Joe's very funny. Better get in line for your temperature check before you go ghost hunting. You can't go until I check you for COVID. You can't go before I check you for COVID. Ghosts can't catch COVID.
Oh, it's EMF rating. Spirit box, even though the spirit don't like me.
You have spirit box?
Do you want to take spirit box? Spirit box don't like me.
No, it's okay. I got the book. I was just trying to figure out.
Okay. You got this, Joe.
Ghost.
Why? Did you find her?
Found it.
Really?
Yeah, I already found it.
Maria Taylor.
Joe needs a hug. Alright, Taylor, hello?
She's in this room.
Open this door.
Oh, that mannequin. I thought I thought she was behind you.
In here?
So there's a chance that she's in here.
Hello?
Or she's out here living. Yeah, no.
Sorry, I'll try to say it.
Oh, she's here. Is it Maria or Mariah?
Maria.
She's out in the living room.
Okay.
Give her a kiss for me.
You don't wanna.
Why not?
She likes people alone.
I'll be alone with her tomorrow.
Oh.
Oh, it's a little cooler in here. Is she throwing shit around? No, I thought something was stuck.
Mm.
Ooh, yeah, it's cold over here. She's living on it.
How cold is it? Like real cold?
I'm looking for a ghost goth GF. Are you willing?
That's rude.
It was 9.7 degrees Celsius. It's not cool.
Oliver, I'm right here. Kidding.
What?
No, I'm kidding. You said I need a Ghost Goth GF, and I was just making fun.
You're not a ghost.
No, but I have ghost theme.
Very true. Spooky.
I'm not picking anything up.
Hello? Oh yeah, she's over here right now. 7.9 degrees Celsius. Ooh, babe. No, it's okay. I like people who aren't hot. It's fine.
Ouch.
No, your body temperature.
Whoa.
Joe. Joe, he just said the ghost wasn't hot.
She's quite literally 7.3 degrees Celsius.
That's rude. That's
And?
rude.
Give me a kiss, Boogie. Watch, I'm gonna be
They're
the
all
person who
hot.
likes
What do
because
you
she
mean?
likes me the most.
They're so hot. That's rude.
Yeah. You can't say that about a ghost. Come on.
I'm sorry. Everybody cancel me, please. Everybody cancel me.
Oh, don't you worry.
I made a terrible I made a
Lisa,
terrible
Taylor.
lapse in my judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 5 degrees Celsius. Okay.
I wish I were 5 degrees Celsius. I were cool like that. Turn off the light.
I think you're pretty cool. No.
Turn off the light.
4.8
Do it.
right now.
Do it, you coward. Turn off the light, Marisa.
Okay, fine.
Maria.
Marisa. I'll do it.
Maria.
I'm gonna go check for ghost orbs.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do the same thing.
Okay.
Have fun.
Isn't it such a coincidence that we're doing this at the exact same time?
Mm-hmm. And that Oliver's not. It's such a coincidence. Oh, activity went up.
Where?
She's definitely in here, by the way. So
I would love if she just appeared behind him.
Yeah, that would. Oh my god.
Right. Talk to her. I left the spirit box with you.
how you feel?
Why you gasping?
She was just standing.
Love a girl with a sense of humor. I hate this so much. Oh. Interesting. Hmm.
We have freezing temps. Dewey's got a book in there? I...
beeping mean? Does anyone know what beeping means in the truck?
Beeping means death is in the minute.
It means what?
Death is imminent, you know.
Oh,
You
okay.
see that red line? If
Yeah.
it goes green, that means that the ghost is there, and that means someone's gonna die. But it doesn't actually mean that because I'm just, you know,
Oh, okay.
silly.
I see, I see.
It's just motion sensor.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, the motion sensor's been going off then.
That's never good. Probably gonna come up.
Is that what the red line is?
I don't want to die, so I'm gonna walk out.
Okay.
I called it.
10-4, we got a ghost just trying to chill around over.
I think the thing's broken then, because I went past it and it was red.
Oh, it was going off.
Well, yeah, earlier.
It-
But that was when Joe walked past it earlier, so I think it's broken.
No, but while I was in there, it kept going off. So you were walking over it just now?
Yeah, it was.
It was
Not going off.
it was going off a ton of times in the van. That's why I was asking what beeping means.
What up, baby?
Ghosty Chan. Breathe. Oh, it's on.
Oh! Oh, it's the baby. I'm sorry? I'm sorry, what was that?
Crabbers, crabbers!
I'm gonna kill you.
Oh, wait, I have one of these. Yo!
What is it?
I have one of these.
Have what?
I have a mop.
Wow!
Go.
At this
It has
point,
water
at
in
this
it.
point, bro, I'm just gonna own it. But
Does
thank
have water.
you.
The water's kind of weak, though.
Did
Yo,
you do
Ghost,
something on the
do me a
spirit box,
favor.
by the way?
I updated
Here?
the game and I forgot to do the title,
Are
but
you
it's
here?
Demon.
Are you here?
Demon.
oh yeah, she's
Oh,
right there.
oh,
Oh,
I did
she's
not
running
like
at you.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you okay?
No,
Damn.
no, it's babyface.
I think it likes you.
Yeah, of
Now,
course
I
it
know
is,
we were
of course it is.
joking about it, but
I'm starting to think she's a child, though. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not into that.
you know, I can understand.
You see how small she was?
Yeah, she's a child. Oh, she crawling. Where you going, hun? Oh. Oh no. Spooky. Yeah, she was a girl on a mission.
Look at the numbers.
She was on a mission for you, Joe. She was crawling around.
I know, I'm Oliver.
Oh, you're Oliver. I'm so sorry. She was on a mission though.
Oh my god.
She was
I
running.
said I didn't like children romantically, and then she fucking killed me.
Yeah, she did not like that. She didn't like that you have good morals. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, exactly. My god. I'm so sorry. I've died every single fucking round.
Same.
Wait, so did we hear Spirit Box before?
No. No, just freezing temperatures.
Honestly, just go. Might as well.
Throw your guess in.
He's
Oh,
not
there's
here.
so many
Discord.
things.
That's not good. Just gonna go.
Oh, no one's
That's
talking.
a problem. Mission fix. So I'm just gonna press this wacky button here and say it's Banshee.
He's pressing the button and saying Banshee.
Spooky.
You know what? I'm gonna say demon. I'm saying demon.
It was a mare. No.
It was a mare.
Game.
Had no info, but I got it right. Let's go.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah, I just guessed in there.
You just had a feel for that character there.
Well, I mean, she loved me a lot, so.
She did.
That might be my last one because I go to work tomorrow.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm getting kind of tired.
Thank you for playing with this show. I appreciate
It's
you.
always fun. Where'd you go? Joe, where'd you go? Joe, please. Oh, he left. Oh, everyone left. Okay.
He is died. He is died.
He is die.
Thank you for playing with me too, Sarah. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I always like playing. I'm glad it worked out because I wanted to play with you guys. I wanted to play with my brother, and you guys got to hang out.
I love hanging out with your brother too. It was very fun.
He's so great. I love him.
This. Put up my goodbye screen. I'm gonna say bye to Sarah's chat. Goodbye, Sarah's chat.
Goodbye.
You guys are super cool people. Bye, Sarah.
Of course they are.
love you.
They're- I love you too. I'll see you after. He didn't leave call, right? Just need to make sure. Because we're stupid people. And I would leave call. Oh, he left the call. Alright, well, I'm gonna lurk in here. But thank you guys for dropping by. I'm sorry for the... I need to invest in something in the network because I've started having like connection issues, and I wanna bite it in the bud before it actually becomes a problem, because that gets irritating fast. But thank you guys for coming by on an impromptu stream. I'm starting to think I'm gonna stream every weekend because A, I get to hang out with my friends more easily then. B, I get to hang out with my brother then. And he likes to stream. So it makes it fun. Everyone's just streaming together. But I'm tired. So I think I'm gonna go grab one final snack and just like hang out. And I'm off the next 2 days, but I am super behind on some stuff and I need to do some cleaning, so we'll see if I could stream. I don't know. Figure something out. But I love you guys. Have a great night. Thank you for playing with the channel points this time. That's also very fun. It puts a hindrance on my gameplay, but like I personally find it fun. So I like it. Okay. Love you. Bye.